I'd like to welcome back the director of Love Hotel, Hikaru Toda. So I'm just going to start with the question, and then I'll open it up. But just sort of, how did you get started on this project, and finding the participants, and choosing which ones you were going to feature? I know those are 3 questions, but you know.
Yeah, so I was doing a research about some other film, and I stumbled across an article about Death Hotel, Love Hotel, and we wanted to make a film, something entirely different in the beginning. And then instead of doing both Death and Love, we decided to just focus on Love Hotel. And then, so we went, when was that, 2012? We went into Osaka to look for, we didn't have any leads. Back then we didn't have any people, we didn't have any hotel. We just went on the ground and started handing out flyers saying, we want to make this Love Hotel film. Are you a Love Hotel user? Would you allow us to film you in the rooms? And people are obviously no. But then just by chance, I started meeting people that was interested, thought it was a fun idea, and from there we just kind of snowballed into meeting a lot of people who just found it was a fun thing to do. And that's also because of the location. Osaka is the 2nd biggest city in Japan, and the people there are just comedians. They're just up for fun, they're like doing things that otherwise like normal people wouldn't do. And that's why we kind of chose that location as well. We thought, okay, maybe that's a place that people will be up for things like this. In terms of the Love Hotel, also that's typical of Osaka style. You saw the guys partying. These guys are also up for fun. I think the CEO was a very special kind of charismatic character who kind of took us under his wing and said, yeah, you have full access. So we got full access everywhere, behind the scenes, in the kitchen, in the cleaning guys' rooms, and they just kind of was up for fun.
Great, yeah. Does anyone have a question? I didn't ask them all, come on.
Any questions?
Okay, lady over here.
What are the repercussions for the people who've exposed themselves, made themselves so open since then?
Right, so there are some people in the film that only gave us permission to be filmed if this film doesn't go out in Japan. Oh. And quite a lot of them are workers at the Love Hotel, so they don't know, their families don't know that they work there, because the Love Hotel is the kind of type of place, as you saw, that a lot of people use this, and it's all over Japan, but it's still very much kind of stigmatized. Like, you don't talk about it, you don't talk about going there, and somehow it's a stigmatized industry for people who work there. So, you know, there's a lot of shame attached to it, so they don't like to say. And so like the head manager, he's got 2 kids, he doesn't want them to be bullied or anything, so there's that. But then there's also people, there's only maybe 2 people who are like that in the film. But the rest are very happy to kind of work with us collaboratively. We worked with them obviously over 2.5 years. Some of them took longer than the others to film. It was very much based on kind of trust and work, you know, just building our working relationships and getting to know each other a little bit better each time, and kind of working towards kind of, you know, working towards sharing their stories, because it's not easy. You know, I think Japanese people in general are not very accustomed to sharing their own stories, because it's considered it's not so important. Your individual story is not that important. So a lot of people are like, you want to know my story? Well, that's kind of cool. So, but it took quite a long time to kind of work with them to open up for them to open up.
You showed great respect for everyone, so it didn't seem at all smarmy.
Oh, great. Well,
which I think was a great art.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That means a lot, actually. Yeah.
Oh,
thank you.
Good.
I'm just going to go here. Yeah, and then I'll go back.
Did you know when you started the project that there was this move towards clamping down on the hotels, that this is the kind of progression that you were going to see throughout the movie?
We did know a little bit, because it's been
Can I
happening.
just make sure, do you need me to repeat the questions, or can you all hear? Because I can.
So the question was whether, at the beginning of the project, whether we knew the direction of the tightening down of the rules. We did know a little bit. It's been happening consistently for the last few years, but we didn't expect our hotel to be, you know.
Bittersweet reinventing the whole
Yes.
project.
Yes, it was, absolutely. We didn't expect the hotel to be teared down like that. So it was a little bit like, oh, great story arc, but actually it was very like, oh no, you know. People who worked there really did care about the place, and a lot of the workers been there for like, some ladies were there for 20 years. So for them it was like, yeah, I wish they really, yeah, kind of got attached to the place and things. So.
Sort of a second question to that is, because you've been around for so many years, why do you think you were on the ground that all of a sudden there's this sudden upsurge in conservatism to try to get these, well, tightening of the rules and regulations? Why do you think that sort of happened all of a sudden?
Why is there an upsurge in sort of the conservatism in Japan?
So the film kind of talks about the general direction of the conservatism and conformity aspects of the Japanese culture going a little bit, being emphasized in the recent years. And Love Hotel is just one example of how things on the ground that is on this kind of people level, that people might be affected. So there's a bigger kind of political context that we kind of touch upon in the very beginning and through the radio broadcast. But we're kind of showing how, without people knowing, how this kind of right-wing direction can seep into the everyday, into the love hotels, into the clubs, and all the places where it's associated to freedom and individual desires. So that's kind of a gradual thing. It seems, you know, it seems unimportant, but actually that's where it goes. That's where it starts. So we felt that, well, it's a very interesting and important thing to kind of point out in the film. It's not just a place of escapism detached from reality of outside, it's actually very much the reality seeping into that place as well.
So it's like the canary in the coal mine, is that what you're telling us?
Canary in the coal mine.
It is an expression. It's just,
Sorry, that's an expression I'm not aware of.
do you want to explain what it means?
What does that mean? Sorry.
Canary in the coal mine is what they used to use in the coal mines, that if it was bad gas, that the canary would die first. So what's happening, I guess what I was saying is,
Right.
if your freedom's in the love hotel, or if that's the first thing that's going to go, it's going to be a slippery slope
Yes.
for the rest of
Well, it's already gone crazy direction in Japan. I think just compliance, for example, it's all the investment put into complying instead of, actually building rooms that people would like, that kind of thing. There's a lot of emphasis and crackdowns on these things, yet the government gets away with a lot more, So it's a little bit of a, yeah.
There was a question up here. Did you?
Yeah, you basically asked.
Oh.
But I did have a follow-up question about the two gay lawyers.
Yes,
I thought they were very brave to be part of this film, but I hadn't realized that situation was so rough in Japan. I'm wondering if you just comment a bit on sort of that situation for
You mean like homophobia?
Yeah, could you comment about the two gay lawyers and
Yeah.
things you didn't know so rough in Japan? And
Yeah, the gay lawyers were amazing lawyers. They're really good lawyers. They're quite social activist kind of lawyers, and they just wanted the space. They treated this with like film as a place for them to express their love, because they're also such a lovely couple. For me, they kind of personify like the perfect couple, because they're not perfect. They have faults, but they just accept each other. So they just wanted to have a place where they can express that, and Love Hotel for them also is one of the places where they can do that and just be completely unhindered and be themselves. And they were very open with us to let us film that process, and they just loved it. Actually, they're quite extroverts in that way. So, and they mentioned that in the film that in Japan, to even hold hands between straight couples is a little bit, people would look at you. So there is definitely that kind of conservative and traditional restrictions publicly, and also in terms of being homosexual in Japan, they can't get married. They're kind of, in real life, they're symbolically married. I don't know if you guys noticed the rings on their fingers. They're married to each other symbolically, but that's not allowed, right? So gay marriage is not possible in Japan. So there's a lot of, Japan has a long way to go still in terms of recognizing gay couples, and also just like from the general public's point of view, there are a lot of kind of silent disapproval. It's not necessarily violent homophobia, but it's more of like, it's a disapproval that they can feel that people would be looking at them.
Yes, here.
You captured a lot of very intimate conversations in the movie, and I kind of wondered how you did that. Like, I imagine you sitting there for hours until they forget that you're there.
Yeah, so, sorry, it was about the intimate
conversations that you capture.
So everyone was different. Some people were very good in front of the camera. Some people were also, more felt, a little bit more uncomfortable. So we had to work with that. It's just different with everyone. But so some people took a couple hours. Some people took longer than the other. But it was very much observational. Once we went into the room, we kind of asked them to do as they would. But sometimes we kind of played. For example, there's a scene with the gay guys. They all say, we don't have secrets, right? They're like, oh, we know each other so well, we've been together 23 years now, or there's no secrets, because I would be asking these things like, before we were filming, or just in our conversations as we were getting to know each other. And then, so that kind of, I kind of felt that there must be something. So sometimes I would just ask them, like, why don't you just look into each other's eyes and see what comes up, and then these things come out, right? So there's different ways, but mostly it was hands off, and really just, it took as long as it had to take. So, yeah.
Right here, yeah.
The couple that went for dancing were very enigmatic. Could you say a little bit more about their relationship?
Could you talk about the couple that went dancing?
Yes, so we found them very late in our filming, and that's why there's no backstories to them like there is for the rest of the characters. Their backstory is that they're married with children, they're separated currently, and they go into tango classes because the wife wants to that's her way of reaching out to him, and he's been very much of a free soul in the past and wasn't necessarily there for the family all the time, and so there's a lot of kind of past history that they're trying to reconcile, but through dancing. So that's kind of their sweet and bitter stories, that they've got the past, and the kids have all grown up, and now they have this one thing that they can share, but they don't know whether they'll ever get back together because they're still separated. So, but that's just one thing that they have together. So that's the kind of the story that drew us in for them.
I think we can only have time for one more question. I don't know who had the hand up first. Okay.
The name of the movie is Love Hotel, and apparently that's the same word that they use in Japan,
Yes.
like the English translation.
Yeah.
I wonder if that correctly translates, or if they have more of a sweet name, it's more like they call it Sex Hotel or something grittier, or that.
No, it's just called Love Hotel, and sometimes we call it Love Ho for short. We like abbreviations. Sorry?
Is it like a sweet name to them, like love in a sweet sense, or a good sense?
Yes. Yeah. Love. Yeah, love in a sweet sense, I would say. I never thought of it that way, but sweet sense, I think.
That's a nice way to end.
The love in the sweet sense.
Thank you, Hikaru, very much.
So much, guys. Thank you for staying.